And I guess we may not get that video today. It says, it has been stated earlier that the Quran was not revealed to the Prophet ﷺ in the order as it exists today. The order of its revelation was different and in accordance with the needs and circumstances of particular times. As soon as an ayah was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ used to dictate it to the scribes and instruct exactly where to place it and the surah wherein to write it. They would write it at the place shown by the Prophet ﷺ. No attempt was made either by the Prophet or by his companions to preserve the chronological order of the revelation. Hence, nobody remembered the exact order of revelation when it was completed. Hence, we may have some partial knowledge of the order of revelation of certain surah or ayat, but the chronological order of the entire Quran cannot be ascertained with authenticity. Does everybody understand that? Okay. In his book, Al-Itqan, by Imam As-Suyuti, he attempts to fix a chronological order of the revelation, and that's what we'll be using. We're using Imam As-Suyuti. He's a famous scholar of tafsir. He gives us the chronological order, according to him, of the revelation of the surah, with reference to certain traditions and different narrations that we have. But in fact, they only affirm which surah are Meccan and which surah are Medani, and the chronological order cannot be totally authentically established. Recently, some Orientalists have tried to establish the order of revelations. First of them was a well-known German who started working on it, and thereafter it became a subject of great interest with other Orientalists. Does everybody know what an Orientalist is? An Orientalist is a non-Muslim scholar who studies Islam, but he studies it in a very perverse way. He studies it with his idea that Islam is wrong, and he tries to prove it through his science. It's similar to the racist type of science that we had here in America up until late, where they would say through science how black people were inferior or physically ignorant and all types of stuff like that, and they would use science to prove it. These are the types of games that these so-called scholars or Orientalists use to show that Islam is incorrect, or that the understandings that we derive from Islam and the Quran are incorrect. Does that make sense? That's exactly what they do. So one of the things I wanted to mention, and I guess you don't really have to go to that, we'll just do it here. One of the things we want to mention is not to waste your time dealing with these people. Because one of the things they do, one of the tricks of the shaitan, is to get you busy doing that which is less important. Arguing with Orientalists is something you don't have to do. You're never going to prove them, make them change their mind, I should say. You may prove them wrong, but you know the rule. Man opined against his will is still of the same opinion still. So they're not going to change their opinion, but what you can do is busy yourself. Let's read this. We'll go through this instead, okay? The compilation and sequential revelation of the Quran. It has been stated earlier that the Quran was not revealed to the Prophet in the order that we have it today. However, Al-Bukhari reports that when not equal are those believers who strive, who sit at home, and those that strive in the cause of Allah. The Prophet called for Zayd ibn Thabit, instructing him to come with ink pot and pen. When Zayd arrived, the Prophet told him, "Write, not equal to those believers who sit at home and those who strive in the cause of Allah." This incident shows the haste with which the Prophet ﷺ recorded the Quran. Zayd narrates, "I used to write the revelation for the Prophet, and he would dictate it to me. When he finished, he would command me, saying, 'Read it back to me.' So I would recite to him what I had written. The ayat were written and placed where the Prophet ﷺ instructed. No attempt by the Prophet or the companions was made to preserve the chronological order of the revelation. So whereas we have partial knowledge of the chronological order in which the Quran was revealed, the chronological order of the entire Quran cannot be achieved with total authenticity." Does that make sense, everybody? No. A non-Muslim scholar of Islam is called an Orientalist. We say in Arabic, mustashrik. Many Orientalists are insincere troublemakers who try to confuse issues, so be careful of their works and do not spend a lot of time debating with them. These devils only seek to waste your time and keep you from more beneficial activities. I say that again because the Orientalists do a lot of writings in English, and it seems like the Muslims spend a lot of time trying to read these Orientalist works as opposed to the works of Muslim scholars. And so you should not busy yourself with these weird writings that they do, but busy yourself with what the Muslims have written about the deen. Okay? Imam as-Suyuti, a famous scholar of the sciences of the Quran, and we know there's a difference between the sciences of the Quran and the science of tafsir. The science of Quran deal with what we're dealing with now, the chronological order of the Quran, which ayat came when, and those types of things like that. Whereas this tafsir deals with understanding what those ayat actually said and what they actually mean. We understand the difference in that? So here, Imam as-Suyuti, a famous scholar of the sciences of the Quran, recorded a list by Muhammad al-Harith ibn Abyad and a poem by Burhan al-Ja'bari, both listing theories on the sequential order in which the chapters in the Quran were revealed. Suyuti wrote, after writing these and placing them in his book Al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran, that these lists needed to be further researched as some aspects of them were apparently incorrect. And here we place this list. And here's the list. Go up. I took the time, I put the whole list here, and I just at this top part, I'll deal with that, and then we'll end here. Because we're going to be using this list, and I'm going to print this list out for everybody, at least McKean is, and this is the order through which we will be studying tafsir, with slight deviation. And I wanted to show you the list and show you why we're going to do slight deviation. First of all, he starts off with Iqra. We already did Iqra. The next surah he places is Al-Qalam. We will not do Al-Qalam and we will not do Muzammil before we do Mudaththir. Because we have an authentic narration from the Prophet ﷺ that he said, after I had finished in Hira, after I had left Hira, I was walking down around the mountain Hira and I heard something. I looked to my right, I didn't see anything. I looked to my left, I didn't see anything. I looked behind me, I didn't see anything. I looked in front of me, I didn't see anything. Then I looked up and I saw something and I was scared. It frightened me. So it was the same thing that I saw up in the mountain. And so he went home and he said, Dathiruni, Dathiruni, wrap me up, wrap me up. وَصَبُّوا عَلَيَّ مَاءً بَارِدًا. He said, and pour over me some cold water. And while I was sitting there, it said, Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, kum fa'andir. So it says, while he was sitting there, it said, oh, you wrapped up in your clothes, get up and warn. And the surah starts to come. So we have an authentic narration stating on Jabir ibn Abdullah, stating that Mudaththir came directly after Iqra. And then we have other narrations that say that Muzammil came aqabatul Mudaththir, that it came right on the heel of Mudaththir. Also in Sahih al-Bukhari, we have a narration where it states that he said, Zammiluni, Zammiluni fadaththiruni. He said Zammiluni, which means he was Muzammil also. So we're going to go Iqra, Mudaththir, Muzammil, and then Qalam. After that, he says Al-Fatiha. We're not going to do Al-Fatiha here. Why is that?